Apple has introduced a product which it hopes will speak to consumers in the age of COVID-19. Sure, this was in development well before the spread of the virus, but this is a phone which speaks to the times we find ourselves in right now. Also, when I first started seeing chatter about it online using the hashtag iPhone SE, I jokingly said it was people talking iPhonese. So in today's look at the iPhone SE, I'm asking, does this phone speak to you? Do you speak iPhonese? Okay, class. Today's linguistics lesson is pretty straightforward. We'll be going over chapter 1, iPhonese. Be prepared to take notes. This stuff will be on the test. All right, let's get into it. First word, iPhonese. A play on the hashtag for iPhone SE. Breaking this word down, SE means special edition, and that's what Apple's head of marketing in 2016 told a Fortune magazine reporter. And I wouldn't argue with that. Often when we think of special edition, we think of something ultra high end, something extraordinary. Well, for Apple, this phone was indeed extra from its ordinary run of product and continues to be so, which brings us to this iPhonese concept. Jot this down. Value proposition. Broken down, it's just a fancy way of saying, what am I getting versus how much I'm going to spend? Well, in the age of the Rona, people are laid off. Money is tight, but the smartphone has become a necessary communications device which ties us to family and friends and loved ones and even work. The 50% of people living below the poverty line who don't have broadband access even rely on smartphones for access to things like paying bills and accessing services which have gone mainly online. So if you're in need of a new phone but money is funny, iPhone's value proposition is this. You're going to pay $450 for a phone which gets you most of the features of a high-end iPhone for as much or as little as half the cost or less. Now, that's for the middle tier 128 gigabyte model if your budget allows for it. I'd advise you to start there instead of the $400 level for only 64 gigabytes of storage. Go that route and you'll be dumping pictures and videos every time you need to update the operating system. So, what are you paying for? Let's run through it. On the right side of the phone, you're going to get the power button and SIM tray. Left side of the phone is the alert slider and volume rocker. Bottom is where you'll find the stereo speakers, lightning port, and microphone. Front of the phone is where you get the Touch ID fingerprint sensor, still one of the best fingerprint sensors in the smartphone game. On the front, you'll also get a 7 megapixel camera, which supports 1080p video recording up to 30 frames per second, as well as slow-mo video options. Class, another iPhonese, slow-fi. These cameras, this front camera, supports the slow-mo video slow-fi. It does not support face unlock, but through some artificial intelligence wizardry, it does still support portrait photos, portrait mode. But many of us are currently wearing masks, so the face unlock is a non-issue at the moment. Next to that camera is the speaker grill. The rear of the phone is where most people will probably be most focused, and that is the camera. In this case, you get only one. It's a 12 megapixel camera which supports 4K video recording up to 60 frames per second and slow-mo videos 1080p up to 240 frames per second. It features something called cinematic video stabilization, which you'll see here in this behind the scenes video I shot. So this is the Nanlite Forza 300. There's my camera, and I need to focus. I need to set the lighting and focus. So right now, I'm doing it totally just makeshift. I'm eventually gonna buy a panel that sits on a stand and it has a crossbar on it so you can actually focus, set your focus if you're a one-man band. But today, I have a Trader Joe's sparkling bottle sitting on top of a slider where I'd be sitting around about my head height so that I can take the camera and use the touch focus setting to tap the screen on the back here and set the focus. There is no night mode on the iPhone SE, but when you want to take a picture in dimly lit spaces, you'll find that the camera is a capable shooter. These night photos I took at a local metro stop tell the tale. I regularly take this exact photo with different cameras, and though the main variable in them is the moonlight, this is fairly standard. As you can see, the colors, the contrast are really solid, and the primary difference, which is something most people won't even really notice, is in the darker areas of the photo, particularly the night sky. If you go pixel peeping and blow the images up, you will notice more graininess, aka noise, in these photos than more expensive cameras, which do have night mode, including the more expensive iPhones. But as you can see in this photo here, the camera does consistently color and contrast and low light situations well. And again, blow up the photos and that's where the difference is apparent. But we come back to that phrase, value proposition. For what you're paying, these pictures are more than adequate. And as I always say, they'll be fine for what most of you are going to do with them, and that is sharing on social media or via email with family and friends. Continuing on with our iPhonese, Apple has always placed more emphasis on something other than hardware specifications, and that is our next word in the language, experience. They followed that one up with other iPhonese like frictionless and best ever, but at the heart of the SE is that word experience. So, mine has been this. Probably the most important element of the experience is battery life. Apple says this battery will last as long as the iPhone 8, and in my testing, I was killing the battery with almost 6 hours of screen on time in about 12 and a half hours. With some of the larger phones with bigger batteries, at the end of that 12-hour period, I was sitting somewhere between 15 to 25% battery left. But clearly, the iPhone SE will see you through a workday. For your own context, I don't make many phone calls at all, so if you're a heavy voice caller, you may need a backup battery if you're not currently working from home and near an outlet. And speaking of outlets, if your juice gets low, the SE supports fast charging over wire, just not the wire or brick the phone comes with. If you want rapid charging, you'll have to spring for a charger rated at 18 watts or greater. With an 18-watt charger, Apple claims you can get to 50% in 30 minutes. I used a 65-watt charger, and this phone charged up lickety-split lightning quick. The phone also supports wireless Qi charging, but not rapid charging. Part of the experience of using a modern smartphone is media consumption, whether that's time wasting on TikTok, watching videos on YouTube, or knocking out your boredom with One Punch Man on Netflix. The screen is Apple's Retina HD, and you get those stereo speakers, which both make for a very pleasant user experience. This Retina HD display is basically a bit better than 720p on paper, but that doesn't stop cannon busters from being a wonderful viewing experience on the iPhone SE. If otaku is a vocabulary word you're familiar with, you won't be disappointed by this display. Same with Netflix or any other streaming content. Videos look great, and the sound is more than loud enough for the kind of close proximity viewing you'll be doing with a screen of this size. All right, class, let's bring this home. Then we'll dismiss for the day. Our last word, timely. This phone couldn't come at a better time. Money is tight, but we're telecommuting. Remote contact is more important than ever, and the iPhone SE, more than anything, speaks pandemic. At $399, the price is right. You're going to get a phone with a really solid user experience, which won't add to your anxiety because you spent more than you know you should. And if you're into smaller phones...
Turn off my phone?
Yeah,
Earth to Matilda. This phone is as much a part of me as...
You know what? Can we just cut it out?
The audio experience is top notch. The visual experience is very good. And the phone feels fast. This is definitely the right device for right now. One that I'm sure truly speaks many people's languages. Hey, if there's anything I didn't address, if there's any word I didn't speak in your native language, please leave it in the comments below. I'll get to it. As always, we don't take it lightly that you spent your time here with us at reviews.org. If you want to find out what deals are available for this phone on whichever carriers, go ahead and hit up reviews.org, the website. We thank you as always for watching. I'm Tshaka Armstrong. See you in the next video.